Kudos at the double. It wasn't easy, but the Nottingham Forest match was coming up, Newcastle fans, so make sure you stick around. Nottingham Forest tomorrow. Haha, Chris Wood's injured, isn't he? No worries about hat-tricks from him. Hang on though, wasn't I reading that? Oh no.
The Strasbourg goalkeeper Mats Sells, who a lot of Premier League football fans will remember from his days at Newcastle, is due to land in the Midlands in the next hour or so, when he'll head to Nottingham Forest to complete a medical, ahead of what we now understand is a substantive move from Strasbourg.
That's it. We doomed. He's going to save 3 penalties, we're going to have a man sent off, and it's all going to go to shit. We hate Nottingham Forest, we hate Sunderland too, and Leicester. I've never quite understood that song, because I don't overly hate Nottingham Forest. And I've got a guest with me today on this match vlog that some of you might recognise. I'm going to get his opinion. Do you hate Nottingham Forest, Cold Dog?
Don't hate them, but I dislike them after that game when we had 2 players sent off in the Beatles. But I don't hate them.
Welcome back to Black White Banter, you lovely Newcastle fans. We are on the road, we are in the car, we are on the way down to Nottingham. We're not too far away from Nottingham now, actually. We've had some questionable music choices getting banged out from this man here. Oh, there's the face of shock. But before we get into this match vlog, Newcastle fans, do us a little favour. Drop us a little likey, Lou, and what should they do by the end of this video if they quite like it?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. That would be wonderful.
Like it as well.
Like it. It goes a very long way, that little likey button, so do that now. Literally, now.
Press it! Just press it!
Press it! There you go, you've done it. Wonderful. Right, so yes, on to Nottingham we go. A short away day, obviously it's a later one for Sky TV, because that's just what Sky TV are doing to us at the moment, but luckily it's not a long trip. It's not a 6 hour, it's not a 7 hour, so I don't have to tolerate the I don't have to tolerate the oh, he beat us to it. I don't have to tolerate I don't have to tolerate the cold dog I don't have to tolerate the cold dog for quite as long. He just beat me to that one, so I think that's 1-0 to you, actually. That's 1-0 to him before we've even got to the stadium. Yeah, I've said on my preview, if I'm going to get my preview out as I'm recording this, I still haven't posted it, which is pretty bad. But I've said in the build-up to this game that I fancy us to win. Nottingham Forest have played midweek, 120 minutes they had to play in the FA Cup, which will only work in our favour. But there's only one place to start with regards to pre-match chat in the car. He's from Blythe. Should we really start Dan Burn? That's the debate today. Going into this match.
He's not from Blythe.
Don't think that one's going to catch on.
It's a good debate, this though, isn't it?
It is.
Think about it, because let's be honest, Dan Burn he's a really good centre back. He really is a good centre back. But for me, Livramento changed the game against Luton, and for everybody else, I suspect it made such a big difference, because the number 7 for Luton just tore a new one in Dan Burn.
He did, which we were just talking about. It wasn't, and I said this repeatedly. You know, I've done a video this week. If anyone wants to check it out on the Dan Burn situation in a bit closer detail, on my last word, it wasn't his fault. You know, he doesn't have pace. We know he doesn't, but it was up to Eddie Howe, in my opinion. And this, I'm not slating the man who I love as our manager, but it was up to him to protect us and protect the player from the criticism that he's ended up receiving all week by taking him out against the opponent he wasn't matched up against.
It's not often we totally agree on things, but I genuinely really do agree with you. And I'm not being funny, I do. Eddie Howe's job is to pick the best team to play. But unfortunately, I think he waited too long. And something for me happened, which I don't think we've seen very much. In fact, I can't remember seeing it since Eddie took over. Is the fans shouting for the player to come on. it's not something we've really seen, is it?
Yeah, I didn't like that. You know, was it around me? Yes.
There's a lot of frustration, though, Matthew.
Yeah, there was. You know, to be 4-2 down against Luton, no disrespect to them, because they did push Arsenal all the way, as I mentioned. They did push Liverpool all the way. They got a point off them at home. They know mugs. If it was Sheffield United, no disrespect to them. Not that there's any Sheffield fans watching this. I don't know why I'm saying no disrespect to them. If it was Sheffield United, yeah, conceding 4 goals to home to them would be catastrophic. Luton, not so much. But yeah, there's been a lot of bad feeling. In my opinion, last week was FA Cup 5th round, 4 points, which if I'd offered you at the start of the week, Colin, you would have snapped my hand off, would you not?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about it.
So it's not all doom and gloom. But going into this one, Livermento for me, because of the pace that they have. If Morgan Gibbs-White is playing, if he's not, they still have Callum Hudson-Odoi, they still have Alanga. I don't want that to be the conversation after the match, no matter what the score is, that Dan Burn could not keep up with the pace of Forest. I don't want that to be the chat. There's arguments he could play as part of a back three. I don't think Eddie Howe's going to play a 5 at the back anytime soon. He tried it in America, that we were lucky enough to be over there watching. I don't think he's going to implement that anytime soon. So, yeah, a lot of bad feeling about Dan Burn. If he plays today, about 2.5 hours till kick-off right now as we're getting a lot closer. What's your predictions for the match?
I'm going to reverse the score that was up at St James's, and I think 3-1.
3-1?
Yeah, do honestly. We could predict these scores all day long.
Yeah, of course.
But we could sit here and go 1-0 either side. I'm going to go with 3-1. We need a very, very strong performance. We know our ex-player who scored 3 against us, Wood's not playing today, which is it a blessing? He's been really good for them recently.
Again, the stats, I'm turning into Mr. Statman because of what I do away from Black and White Banter YouTube videos. The stats would suggest, yes, he's a massive miss.
And I think what was interesting when you go back and look at something like the Man United game, when we didn't even have a recognised striker playing, nobody who was on top form, that's for sure. But we had midfield and defenders playing out their skin. Yeah. This could be a case we need them guys to step up to the pace, because Isaac's out, Gordon's out, and Wilson hasn't been fully trained apparently. Yeah. And he's only going to get, for me, 45 minutes of the game.
You're going 3-1?
Definitely.
Boom. Yeah, happy days. I'm going to go. Yeah, it's whatever Newcastle turns up today. We're travelling down here today in the hope of seeing the Newcastle that showed up against Villa. We were back, we were hard at the beat, we were polished, in my opinion, defensively. Botman and Shea played out the skin. Trippier was really good that day. Our midfield were up for it. Against Luton, we saw too many gaps between the lines, and I've said all season, away from home, we've been too easy to play against. If that Newcastle shows up today against a booming Forest crowd and a team that will be looking for blood again against us after that Boxing Day game, I don't fancy us. It depends what Newcastle decides to show up. Bruno's trying to avoid a 2-match suspension is not favourable for me. He just needs to bite the bullet. If he gets a 2-match suspension, it's going to happen eventually. I'm also going to go for a Newcastle win. We've had a full week to train, and for Eddie Howe to correct any errors he saw against Luton, which I think he's the sort of manager who will have done that all week. Let's see who plays at left back, which is the biggest talking point. Gordon's a huge miss, but Barnes knows where that goal is if we give him the right service in behind. He's not a Gordon who's going to get the ball himself and take a man on. That's not who Harvey Barnes is, in my opinion. I'm going to go for Newcastle. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. That's just not what Newcastle have been doing more recently. I'll go Newcastle 2-1, the same as last season, which, by the way, was one of my favourite away days. More of that tonight would be absolutely class. Almost in a little village called Bingham for a few beers. I've got a can between my legs, which I'm getting worried is going to spill all over Colin's car. Let's get to Bingham. Let's get amongst it. How are you doing? Right, we're in the boozer. Sorry, Scott. Joined by Scotty. Scotty too, aren't he? What's the predictions? What's your predictions today?
I just burped.
He's just burped. It stinks. Go on. What's your predictions?
92-0.
What's your real predictions?
Nah. 3-0.
Oh, and first scorer?
Miggy.
On his birthday. It's his birthday today.
And then Sven Botman double.
Oh. Right, it's time for me to try and split the G. If we split the G, we win. Oh, that's terrible. The match preview was not uploaded on the way down here, unfortunately. I like to stay consistent with what I upload, but the match preview has not uploaded. So I'm going to give you, on the match vlog, some Black and White Banter stats. If Kieran Trippier registers 1 assist tonight whenever it might be, he's going to be the first Newcastle player to get 10 assists since a certain Laurent Robert, one of my favourite ever Newcastle players. 10, 2001, 2002 was the last time that happened. Come on, Trippier, join some decent company. There has been 85 goals in matches that have involved these two teams this season in the league. 85. So I'm going to say it should be entertaining tonight. That'll probably mean it's going to be a boring 0-0 draw, won't it? Fingers crossed we get a bit of both. As long as we're on the winning side, I do not care. Colin gives a song. Colin gives a song. Colin gives a song. Colin, running down the way. Colin, makes the Geordie say, Colin, we're all going to Madrid. Right, we're just outside the stadium, just waiting for a ticket to be collected, and the team news has dropped. Anthony Gordon's in. We all thought he was injured. He hasn't trained all week anyhow with these sneaky little tactics. Gordon. He's back in. He is in. And nobody expected that. That's amazing to see. But Eddie Howe's gone with Dan Burn, and that's going to upset a lot of Newcastle fans. So I think I speak for everyone when I say that I hope that Dan Burn plays well. I hope we don't get caught down that side, because Eddie Howe, I'm just going to say it now, not that I agree with it, is going to come in for a lot of flack if he doesn't. Apart from that, the team news is pretty much as expected. He's gone with Wilson down the middle, but Gordon's back. Gordon is in. Go with the lads. Gordon. Oh, Danny Fucking Bruno! 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 Get in! Get in, Newcastle. If you'd offered me 3 points at the start of the day, just as I'm travelling back now in the car, I would have snapped your hand off. And that's exactly what we are driving down the motorway with. Get in, Eddie Howe's mags. First and foremost, Call Dog, what did you think of that tonight?
I think it's best to say that there was a bit of a tenacity within the team. It wasn't the best performance we've seen this season, that's for sure. Overall, defensively, I think Botman shone through as he normally does. I'm not going to say anything bad about from Blythe, because he actually played an okay game. He wasn't fantastic, he wasn't useless. He had a half decent game. Overall, man of the match for me, 100% was Gordon. He played very, very well.
Dangerous all throughout, wasn't he?
He was.
And nobody expected to see him.
No, it was a bonus, wasn't it?
Nobody expected to see him.
But yeah, did we deserve the points? I think we did. I think we edged it. I think we edged it slightly. I mean, the one of their second goal was very fortuitous. It was one a hell of a deflection.
Yeah.
But overall, I genuinely, I think that it was strange, because normally we come away from these and we think the referee's been a bit of a dick. But it's fair to say this referee was trying to get this game flowing continuously, which was good. But there was times you're thinking, hold on, you've just given a yellow card.
When it doesn't go in your favour, it's not always.
And it's like, but then both fans would have said the same thing. It wasn't in either one's favour. Yeah. But overall, I'm of course so happy. 3 points, awesome. Cannot fault it. We've come away from the away game. Means I can go back again as well, doesn't it?
I was saying, so Colin, well, we both missed Fulham in the Cup. That was a win. Colin missed Villa on the Tuesday, a week on Tuesday, and that was a win. And then apart from that, we haven't really won away from home, apart from Sheffield United. So I was saying, if we lost today, he wouldn't be getting invited back.
Man United away as well, though. I know it was the Cup.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you that. I kind of voice a lot of things Colin's just said there. I thought first half we started the game really, really well. We controlled large spells, which I think away from home, the first 20 minutes of matches are so important. And if there's one stadium where it's important to control the game, it's a loud stadium like Nottingham Forest. And fair play, there's a bit of bad blood, I believe, between some parts of the Newcastle supporting community and Forest. There isn't for me. Got no reason to. I know it's part of a chant we sing, as I said earlier on this video, but they are loud, they are passionate. It's an old-fashioned stadium. It's a club filled with history, and I like it. It's a good away day. It is. Probably helped by the Wetherspoons we went to beforehand, of course. But silencing a crowd like that early on is good. That's how you put your grip on the game. And we know we are a team that can do that, and we can scare teams. Anthony Gordon coming in, as Colin just mentioned, nobody expected it. Eddie Howe played his poker card like he likes to do in press conferences. He hasn't trained. It's not too serious. We all assumed that he was going to be back at the minimum next week against Bournemouth. Suddenly he's not only even on the bench, he's in the starting lineup. So Eddie Howe's played. Has that worked in our favour? Did Forest plan for a team without Gordon? Maybe. And if Santo's fallen for that, then fair play Howe. That's a masterstroke. But he was good, he was dangerous, and we would have missed that today if he wasn't in the team. Barnes, I'm not saying he wouldn't have offered us something, of course he would, but he's not Gordon. He doesn't have the pace of Gordon. He cannot take a man on in the way Gordon can. He cannot drive the ball up the pitch as fast. He was good. Midfield today, of course, we've got to give a shout out to Bruno. I don't know the next time I'll see Bruno score 2 goals in a match. I think I'll be waiting a long time. He's not known for his goal scoring. I think that's fair to say, as much as he's good at a lot of other things. Even when he was at Lyon before he joined Newcastle, goal scoring was not something we were signing. So to see him get 2 goals of the quality of the goals that he got today, fantastic. And I think Collins give Gordon man of the match. I think because Bruno has been a little bit up and down for me recently, I would give it to the man in the middle. I would. And I think a 2-goal away performance for a player who doesn't score very often probably warrants that. Almiron was back in the side, quiet. I don't want to touch on negative performances too much today because we won the match. But what I will say to that is I don't think it was a polished performance. I said Aston Villa before this match was polished. Today wasn't. There was 84 goals between matches from 2 sides before this game, and it showed today. I thought we still are not tight enough defensively, in my opinion. We're not quite there yet, the Newcastle that we've known. I thought we were against Villa, and we've conceded 6 goals against Luton and Forest, which I'm not meaning to sound like negative Nelly. We've won the football match, and that's the most important thing. But 6 goals in 3 days against this type of opposition is not ideal. It's not, and that worries me moving forward because it is our first team defence. He didn't go with Livramento tonight. Dan Burn Was he at fault for the first goal? I would have to watch the highlights back as I travel. I have watched them when I was getting a pint. I watched them on the screens in the stadium as well as it happened. It looked like he was running through cement to try and catch Alanga when he was running through. I'm not saying he was solely responsible for it, but it didn't look great. Livramento comes on in the second half, and I'm not saying Dan Burn had done much wrong. To be totally honest with you, for me, Livramento looked really bright straight away. He looked zippy. He was winning things, and it was really, really nice to see. And for some reason, Eddie Howe, whether he's... I don't know. I am starting to wonder what Eddie Howe is thinking with playing Dan Burn in matches like this, because we knew Nottingham Forest had pace. He might argue we've won the football match and that's all that matters, and I get that, but it's still a bit of a weird decision not to play Livramento. It is. So that one we won't touch on too much on this video, because again, we've won the game. Like I say, I thought Almiron was quiet, Gordon was brilliant, Longstaff and Miley did what was required. I thought Longstaff connected midfield to attack quite well. Now, the one thing that me and Coldog have disagreed on tonight, Wilson, which is good, yeah, that's, you know, that's we all have an opinion, yeah. Colin didn't think Callum Wilson played very well tonight. I thought he looked very sharp, very zippy, held the ball up for us where needed, but he was just absolutely starved of service.
Could you honestly tell me that you think Wilson is on the pace, he's on his game? Because I think he's one step away from being off pace.
I thought Luton, he looked really good when he came on the second half. He gave us a different dimension. He showed how much we missed the striker, and I thought tonight he looked... There was a moment at the end of the match when Callum Wilson held the ball up in the corner, he won a corner, and we were chanting his name, and he looked frustrated as hell. He clapped us, but he gave the facial expressions to me of, I'm so pissed off tonight. And not because, you know, we were winning, but from an individual point of view, I think Callum Wilson tonight did not get a sniff. There was no headed chances, no shots, crosses coming into the box, and I think he was a frustrated figure, but I think he played his role tonight and he gave us an outlet.
As a lone striker, though, it disappoints me, because I don't think he is a lone striker. I think he's better with somebody who's got some height, somebody who can control the ball as good as he can. Because he can control the ball. You're making it sound like I've got something against him.
No, I just said we disagreed.
I disagree, because I get frustrated, because you talk about holding the ball up. He was easily pushed off that ball, and he's looking at the referee to give him something every single time. And I need disrespect.
It's funny that you've said that Wilson looks like he needs someone, because I think exactly the same about Isak, which is quite interesting. When Isak plays up top by himself, I think he looks isolated at times. But yeah, he did a job for us. There was no one else to come on to change that position. We didn't have many subs tonight. Apparently Murphy wasn't fit enough to play. From what I've just read, Craig Hope's posted on Twitter, that was a random one. Wasn't expecting Murphy to not be involved tonight. But generally speaking, we got over the line, we scored some good goals, we had some good control in the first half. The second half, I would have liked us to calm the game down more when we scored, and we didn't. We allowed it to be a bit crazy, and that's what we need to learn from a game management point of view. I don't think we've been very good away from home this season. That looks like it's continuing. Even Luton, you could argue at home, not just away, we didn't manage the game very well. But that is now, for perspective, Newcastle fans, FA Cup 5th round and 7 points from a possible 9. We are now unbeaten in how many matches is that? Before the FA Cup game. Was Man City before FA Cup? It must have been, before the winter, yeah. So we are now 4 games unbeaten. The last defeat was Man City, which is one of the hardest matches in the league. And before that we beat Sunderland. So that's what? 3, that's just me doing the math off the top of my head.
4 or 5?
3, 4 wins. I'm not even going to try and work it out, but we are on a good trajectory. That was a bit of a mouthful, from where we were. And I've said I think Newcastle are going to finish the season strong. There was so many reasons to be positive. Tonight wasn't great. We didn't control the game as much as I might have liked, but we got over the line. We kept going without too many players to come off the bench. We've got Barnes, who's going to get sharper. Murphy wasn't even involved. We expect an Isak and Willock and Anderson hopefully to be back. I'm telling you, stay positive, Newcastle fans, because we're travelling home positive. It's been a cracking day out today. And Newcastle fans, do me one little favour before we go. Whack that little like button, and what else should they do if you like this vlog?
Let me think. Subscribe.
I'm just pulling up my house. I'm going to see my dog. Colin's going to get himself to bed. Thank you very much for watching. 3 points on the board. I'm going to go and sit down and watch Match of the Day with Mags sat on my knee. Hopefully, well, she might be a little bit settled, she might not be. But anyhow, Mags are back. We've won another football match. All is well in the world. Away the lads!